Alright, today I'll demonstrate how to make these faux box cushions, or sometimes called tucked corner cushions, that are really nice loose cushions to make if you have a large Morris chair or oversized armchair. Stick around, we'll get into the technique of how to do this leather upholstery project. Looks comfy. These cushions are actually for an Eastwood chair, which was an old Gustav Stickley design from the early 1900s, and they're actually built up around down envelopes. If you want to learn more about that style of cushion, we'll link up to a video. I'll also put the video in the description box if you want to come back to it later. But let's get started with this current project by doing some patterning and measuring those down envelope cushions. Carefully measure to the middle of the boxing on either side. Looks like this one will need to be 32.5 inches, including half-inch seam allowance on either side. For the height, we'll also measure to the middle of the boxing and add 1 inch total for seam allowance, but we'll also add 3/8 of an inch for a top stitching detail on the zipper. So that's just along the height of the panel, not along the width, that you need that extra 3/8 inch. Measuring the backrest cushion the same way gives us a panel size of 31.5 inches wide and 27 3/8 inch tall. Again, you're only allowing that extra 3/8 inch on the height dimension, not the width. Mark out your corner notches on the top of the backrest and the front of the seat at 2.5 inches square. The notches at the bottom of the backrest and at the back of the seat will actually need to be 3/8 of an inch taller than that. And that's just to account for the top stitching detail on the zipper. So a standard notch is 2.5 inches square. But this is the bottom of the backrest cushion and it has a zipper along here. I indicate that with a dashed line, and so this vertical dimension will need to be 2 7/8 for this notch. Little extra room for top stitching that zipper. Order of operations is important for this project. The first thing you'll do is attach the zipper tape to the bottom of the panels and top stitch that if desired. Next up, we'll close the top corner notches, followed by sewing the long perimeter seam around the cushion, and finally we'll close up those bottom corner notches. Alright, let's head up to the walking foot machine and make these panels look a little more like cushions. Then sew up 2 long strips of piping with a zipper foot. A relatively long 5 stitch per inch, just kind of a basting stitch, is appropriate for just sewing up your piping. So bonus points if you know why I use a zipper foot for sewing up piping and not just a regular 1/4 inch cording foot. Leave your answer in the comment section. I use YKK number 4.5 nylon zippers, and I have this clip so that it's teeth down as I'm sewing it to the panel. And this is one time I follow convention. I'm just using a lift zipper foot here. As we come to the end of the zipper here, notice that the corner notches have not been sewn yet. And then separate the zipper tape and sew it to the opposite panel. Okay, well at least we're blind stitched to the panel now. Next step is to turn it over and top stitch along the zipper. And for that, we've switched to a right zipper foot. And that's what it looks like with the zipper top stitched. So we'll finish up the rest of the panels the same way. Mark out a 1/2 inch seam allowance to close up your corner notches. Back tack it real good and sew it down with about an 8 stitch per inch seam length. Once the corner notches are sewn shut, go ahead and trim away the excess seam allowance. This just helps the seam lay a little flatter and look more natural in the completed cushion. I'll sew my top 2 corner notches this way on each cushion, and then just trim away your extra seam allowance so that the seam will lay nice and flat when it's installed in the cushion. You can even open this up with the tip of your scissors right up to the seam line. And that's what will give us that nice faux box corner. You can cut little nicks in the piping where it bends around the corner and temporarily attach that to the front of the cushion with a 1/4 inch plier stapler. Of course, the staples will have to be removed after the sewing's done, but that's a quick and easy task. Zip the 2 panels most of the way together, and then we'll staple the cushion faces together with a little bit larger plier stapler. And as we staple the 2 halves together, we'll pay extra attention to where the corners come out. You want those aligned so the seams will match on the front and back of the cushion. And a 3/8 inch plier stapler does a good job of holding that in place until you can get your stitches in. As you approach the zipper, you can turn the piping strip outward, and this will just make the piping disappear into the cushion down near the zipper. It's a pretty natural look, and it helps fight excess bulk down near the zipper area. Down at the bottom of the cushion, we'll handle the lower notches a little bit differently. Here, the piping, instead of running all the way down the perimeter seam, we'll just tuck inside the cushion right before that last seam. We'll finish with sewing up the perimeter of the cushion, and then the last thing we do is close up these lower corner notches. Other than just encasing the piping itself, we haven't sewn anything at this point. All the panels are held together temporarily with staples. So sewing around the perimeter of the cushion, we'll start up at the top. There's more than one good way to do this, but I like to start at the top, back tack a little bit, and work my way down around one side of the cushion. Of course, we have the 1/4 inch piping foot installed now, and that'll follow that cording just like a train on the tracks. So coming up on the corner here, just make sure that your seams are aligned top and bottom, and you should be able to keep sewing right past that seam. You will need a walking foot if you're using leather, and even then, make sure your walking foot is set to the highest lift. And we'll just keep working our way down towards the zipper. To finish up the perimeter of the seam down by the zipper, follow your main line and continue right off the end. Then you can staple things nice and flat and go ahead and close up your bottom notches. You can turn that main seam allowance to one side or another and doing some reinforcement stitching across that zipper, but you don't want to hit the piping again. And that'll be the look at the back of the seat cushion where the piping just disappears into the cushion. And now I'm up at the top of the cushion where I started. I'll backtrack over my steps a few stitches here, and we'll do the same thing down this side of the cushion. That's the part that a household machine would really have trouble with, but no problem with a big walking foot. And here again at the bottom notches, the first step is just to sew the perimeter seam right off the end. That's what it should look like at this stage. And the work is almost done here. We just need to close up these bottom notches. So we'll get a couple staples in to temporarily secure that, and then get a nice stitch across. This piping has been trimmed, and you'll need to turn that one way or the other. I like to turn it towards the back of the cushion and then do the same at the other side. So we'll just flatten that out and sew down the line. Do some reinforcing over the zipper. And finish up the seam. All the staples will then quickly be removed before we stuff the cushions. So this is a look you get for the bottom of the cushion with this faux box design. Zipper terminates, piping just terminates inside. It's a nice clean look. Well, upholstery is just like Thanksgiving dinner. It's the stuffing that makes the difference. And in this case, the stuffing is our down envelope cushions. Sometimes I'll have a front and back just due to any blemishes that might be in the natural leather. So we'll orient it this way. Yeah, that's much easier to place than most foam cushions. Okay, so there's the finished look on these nice soft cushions. We have one remaining step. We'll add grommets in the bottom just to vent that cushion. That's something you should do with any leather or vinyl upholstery. If the resulting cushion looks or feels a little looser than you were expecting, it's an easy process to add more foam inside the down envelope. Actually, it's easier to modify a down envelope than it is to modify a cushion built in the traditional way with foam and polyester batting, because usually those are glued together. And so you have to kind of start from scratch if you're going to modify those. With these, we've just added another inch of 1930 foam for a total of 3 inches inside this. I kind of tacoed the shape a little bit with some shrink wrap to make it easier to stuff. So the sewing and zippers came out really well for this project. The one issue I did encounter is the cushion covers came out a little bit looser than I was looking for. That was a problem I could easily solve by just adding an extra 1-inch layer of foam inside the down envelope. For the backrest cushion, that's all it took. For the seat cushion, I actually added that 1 inch of foam in addition to 2 layers of batting. All of that inside the down envelope, and that seemed to give me just the look I was after. Hey, thanks for watching, guys. If a couple of the techniques here have proven helpful to you, remember to subscribe to the channel and give this video a thumbs up. Thanks so much. We'll see you in the next one. Yeah, that's it.